Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Today we're here with, well, got a request from Patrick. So, Patrick, here it is, doing it for you. It's Dune, Lost in Adaptation, the Dom. Never seen this before. I don't even know what to expect since, like I said, didn't see it till now, so wish me luck as we dive on in. So be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoy. Let's go. I got nothing else, sorry.
An adaptation is a very delicate thing. Know then that it was the year 1984, and after several failed attempts, a film based on a best-selling science fiction novel came to cinemas. I forgot to tell you, it was a box office bomb and was torn apart by the critics. But was it a bad adaptation? Did it do justice to the book it was based on? The film is Dune, also known as What the Fuck Did I Just See?
Okay, looks like we got a different Dune. I think we actually have a newer Dune now. No? There's the sandworms. Oh. So weird. Man.
With every episode until this point, I've been coming from the starting point of either having read the book a while ago, or having seen the film a while ago, or both. Dune is the first story that I've approached completely blind, but I received more requests for it than anything else, so I figured, yeah, I'll give it a go. I quite enjoyed the book, so far so good, but the requests had all come with a warning. Beware of the film. Some of the warnings were so extreme I ended up approaching my TV that day feeling somewhat like a condemned prisoner being led to the gallows.
But now that I've seen it, I've got to say, you guys, to be completely fair to the film, you really didn't warn me enough.
Holy shitballs, this adaptation was a mess in places. I have to admit, I wasn't originally going to go into the probable reasons why the films ended up the way they did in these reviews, but I learnt the hard way that is something the audience would quite appreciate included.
Fair enough. Oh, satire, you idiot. Fair enough.
So, let's talk about David Lynch.
Director of Twin Peaks and Blue Velvet, many believed he was the worst possible choice for a movie like Dune. It's not that he lacked talent, it was just that his directing style was ill-suited for an epic fantasy story, and he had little to no interest in science fiction. I don't think he'd even read the book until he got the job. I'm not entirely convinced he read it afterwards, to be honest. I'm not saying you need to be a massive fanboy of the original source material to be allowed to work on it. In fact, that can sometimes lead to an even worse movie. But you've got to have a strong familiarity with it, or you're just not going to know which bits are important. You're just not. To be fair to Lynch,
yeah, I guess if you want to look at it like that, you don't have to be a fan of something to be able to make it, I guess. I mean, hey, if you got a good director and you got someone that does know, like, what to go for if you don't know the game that well. So if I was working on something that I didn't know about, I'd be like, okay, do you got any source materials for me to work with? Like, say I want One Piece. I'd be like, okay, check manga, watch the show. Or at least that's what I would be doing, I don't know. But I'm not sure how much time I would have, which, again, considering how long One Piece would be, good luck. Actually, when I think about it, I'm surprised we haven't gotten a live-action Naruto yet, considering we got live-action One Piece, a live-action Bleach. I mean, live-action He-Man, too. Imagine a live-action Naruto. Sorry. I don't know why they went there, but still. Anyway.
It might not have been entirely his fault. Reports suggest that he had to put up with more than the usual studio interference, and he was denied his original choices for running time and final cuts. However, there's a few things I'm about to cover which no amount of re-editing could possibly have saved. FYI, I think I watched the original version released to cinemas, but it's hard to tell these days with all the different options. I found one particular aspect of Dune truly phenomenally fascinating. One of the biggest problems that filmmakers are usually faced with when adapting a novel is that so much of the plot exposition, explanations of motive, and character development go on solely inside the main character's head. Now, this is all very well and good for the books, as the reader is privy to all their thoughts and emotions, but a film can only show you the visual side of things. If you're working with a main character who has a lot going on behind their eyes, but they maintain a stoic outer appearance for whatever reason, you're faced with two options. Keep the character exactly as they were described, leaving you with a block of wood for a lead, or try to convert some of these internal thoughts into dialogue, and risk turning a once reserved and dignified character into an annoying chatterbox. Dune apparently found a third solution solution, and it was surprisingly simple. Keep each character's internal monologue. Play the actors whispering their lines while focusing on their unmoving faces to make it clear they're not saying it out loud.
Why would they want the Duke's son killed?
Far off in the control rooms of Spice Gas.
My son lives.
Against all better judgment, I like this Duke.
This is the only film I've personally ever seen where they've attempted this, and there's probably a good reason for that. It's bloody stupid! I'll always respect a director for trying something atypical, but it's hard to describe with mere words how goofy this made the film. Imagine watching a film noir where someone's doing an internal monologue, but it changes who the narrator is depending on who the camera's focusing on. It's even more confusing when the film's narrator then chimes in, because you're like, who's speaking now? Whose thoughts am I hearing?
Okay, let's have a look at the census results.
Let's go. Ooh, 27.
I think I need to get some more literate friends. For those of you who haven't seen the film or read the book, I prepared a brief introduction to the Dune universe to give you some idea of what the fuck I'm about to talk about.
Why not? Stop. It didn't change.
The overarching story? I guess, gun to my head, I would have to give it a passing grade. They skip over a bunch of stuff I'll have to come back to later, but the Atreides leaving Caladan for Arrakis, the Harkonnens and the Emperor teaming up to murder them, Paul and his mother escaping and teaming up with the Fremen, riding the worms, becoming the weird messiah, the Kwisatz Haderach, and Paul leading the Fremen to glorious victory was in both versions. And there were even a few scenes that were recreated almost word for word, including the unpleasant Gom Jabbar ritual, the worm eating the spice refinery, the Hunter's Seeker attack on Paul, the manner and motivation of Yui's betrayal, and his plan for killing the Baron. I'm gonna say that they tried their best to adapt the weird mysticism that went on when people drank the water of life into visual images, but it's not right. At the end of the day, it really is just a bunch of bad special effects and some artsy ways of filming water.
Before, after, and in between these scenes, though, things seem to get a little bit off kilter, so let's take a look at...
But they changed.
You never actually see a navigator of the Spacing Guild in the first book. Near the beginning, Duke Leto tells Paul that not a single person in history has ever laid eyes on them, and no one ever dares try for fear of pissing them off and losing their only means of interstellar travel. The Guild is an unknowable, looming presence that's accepted as a part of life, but shrouded in the depths of mystery, giving them a very much alien undercurrent, and what the fuckity
is that?
Fuck is that thing? Seriously, what the fucking hell? Is that what the Guildsmen are described as looking like in the sequels? That's grotesque!
We ourselves were seeing a slight problem within House Atreides.
What the And they give away the Guild's involvement right at the start? That's not meant to be revealed until right at the end. I think you probably ought to know you're a ghost. Hi, I'm Kaiser Soze. Hey, did I ever tell you I called my old sled Rosebud? It's a relatively minor point, I know, but the Baron Harkonnen's evil intentions to murder the Atreides wasn't common knowledge enough to be accessible in Wikipedia.
The Baron Harkonnen has sworn to destroy House Atreides and steal the ducal signet ring for himself.
The film epically fucked up on the personal shields. They're virtually invisible in the book. Even at full power, there's only a telltale shimmer around the edges of a person to give away that he's wearing one.
That looks
would have
so weird.
Been easier for them to animate back then, so why the fuckity fuck am I watching Captain...
Like, yeah, I mean, look at all these edges. Like, I think we get, like, a good one nowadays, but, jeez. And I'm suddenly reminded of Booster Gold's shield. I swear, if he had something like this, I don't think he'd be around. He wouldn't last long. Like, what am I looking at here? Like, it's like they're stuck in Jello or something. Like, what? Let me out of here. Where am I stuck? Jeez. I swear, that looks like a prison, I swear to Christ. Anyway.
Picard taking part in what looks like a Tron fanfiction attempt. I found it interesting.
That does look like a Tron thing, yeah.
The Mentats having red lips, but they completely ignored Dr. Yui having blue. Paul's meant to be 15 years old and unusually small for his age. While it's not specifically mentioned in the book, I assumed he did grow bigger as the years went on, but he wasn't that big from the start. That's why the Fremen were so impressed that he could kick people's asses in one-on-one combat. They were not subtle in adapting certain things, like the voice. It's supposed to be the result of the Bene Gesserit judging a person so well that they can pitch their voice in the perfect way to influence them subconsciously. I'm pretty sure it wasn't supposed to sound like Satan gargling Listerine.
Not until you tell them both who I really am.
Now the Baron Harkonnen has a few— What the fuck is wrong with his face? Jeebus, there's nothing wrong with the Baron's face in the book. He was just monstrously fat. He was so fat
big
he
boy.
needed anti-gravity devices attached to the end of his belly so he could walk around like a parade float, but didn't have whatever space herpes he's got here. The Baron's also way less of the cartoony, over-the-top villain he's presented as here. He's more of the calm, plotting, followed by sinister chuckle type than his yelling, spitting monstrosity counterpart. Frank Herbert actually described the Baron's first scene in a way that would have translated really well into a film, describing shadows obscuring his face and the unnatural way his fat moved when he walked. I'm not sure why they abandoned this for a well-lit green woman with the
there he goes.
actual fuckity fuck. I said the Baron has anti-gravity machines attached to him to help him walk. I didn't say anything about him flying around like a weird H.P. Lovecraft reimagining of Peter Pan. Okay, I don't know who that is, but it is not the Baron Vladimir Harkonnen. A blithering mental patient like that could never have come up with the fiendish plans within plans within plans needed to rise to so much power in the Imperium. If you put him in a room with the actual Baron from the book, I guarantee they wouldn't even recognize each other.
The Duke must know when I encompass his doom, and the other great houses.
I think I play the Duke pretty well.
The knowledge
better.
will give them pause. I'll gain a bit more room to maneuver. The necessity is obvious, but I don't have to like it.
The Duke will die before these eyes, and he'll know that it is I, Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, who encompasses his doom.
What the?
Wait, who's that?
Okay, who invited their mentally handicapped cousin to this meeting?
Who's my brother?
Subject, which I'm just going to power straight on through. The Baron was an unashamed paedophile that liked to molest young boys. It's horrible, I know, and I wasn't.
I can play the Baron better
in the film. However, I don't have a fucking clue how that somehow got translated into a fetish for pulling out some sort of stopper on a man's chest and watching him bleed to death. I just don't see how that's the
I'm
next
not sure
logical substitution. I just don't. I'm sorry. And
nowadays
what is the fucking deal with these guys?
Ooh,
and what
Cena,
the
you're
fuck
a
is everyone
hero in this case.
drinking? There's nothing even remotely like this kind of sickness in the book. What the fuck is wrong with you, Lynch? Is this just how you get off, you creepy son of a bitch?
I think so? What? This is so weird. Now
Sorry, I know. I have to pace myself if I'm gonna make it through this. Okay, let's see what's up next.
I'm pretty sure Frank Hubert just looking at this, just like, wow.
Why was Sting just steam cooking himself wearing futuristic speedos? Would you excuse me for just one moment, beautiful watchers? Thank you so much.
What? Oh boy. Okay, I'm pretty sure at this point that's not beer, but still. Sheesh. You good?
In the book, they talk a lot about the ferocity and the skill of the Imperial Sardaukar, the fanatical shock troops the Emperor lends to the Baron Harkonnen. They said they have no fear of death and are unmatched in battle. In the film, they just sort of toss people a lot. And I
Again,
really have
stunt
no
shows,
idea
what do you
why they're wearing
expect?
boiler suits. I think Lynch just really wanted them to be stormtroopers, to be honest. As I mentioned in my other video, in the book, all the various soldiers in the Dune universe tended to favor old-fashioned bladed weapons because of the dangers of using laser guns against shields. The film apparently didn't like the book's idea of all these futuristic armies being primarily armed with knives and swords, so they reverted back to the standard lasers and whatnot. I guess everyone except Duncan just forgot they had shields, did they? But at least Patrick Stewart saved that pug dog. Good to know he had his priorities straight. Incidentally, there's no mention of any dogs in the book. The film just added a bunch of dogs for some reason. The weirding module, the sonic weapon that House Atreides develops, isn't in the book at all. Instead of providing them with an actual weapon, Paul teaches the Fremen a type of Bene Gesserit martial arts that, I'd like to think, kind of made them like the clerics from Equilibrium. That would have been so much cooler, but I'm given to understand Lynch didn't relish the prospect of trying to direct an army of kung fu specialists in the middle of a desert, which quite frankly is fair enough. Futher Howard has done a disservice.
They did that nowadays,
His
though.
thing was that he was
Sure,
a
I'll
mentat
check out the
and
new
a
one.
soldier, not some bumbling old fat man. He's brave, honourable, and fiendishly loyal to the Duke later. He only agrees to join the Baron because they managed to convince him that it was Lady Jessica who betrayed the Duke, so he wants to keep on living long enough to get revenge on her and the Emperor. They don't tell him that he's got permanent poison in his body, as it was only intended as a backup in case he turned on them. And the antidote was most certainly not milked from a cat. I mean,
And a rat.
What? I think he figures it out at the end though, because he shows no surprise when he starts dying. He's just happy he gets a chance to show Paul he never would have betrayed him if he'd known he was alive by refusing to assassinate him as his very last act in life. I'm just going to throw this out there. I really don't think the Fremen were white. It just wouldn't make any sense. They don't specifically say they belong to any racial type in the book, but they are described as having very dark skin. Paul does indeed drink from the water of life poison, but the bit where all the Bene Gesserit's noses start bleeding isn't in the book, and I have no idea what's meant to be going on with the worms here. In the book, it wouldn't have mattered who the humans were or what they were doing. If half a dozen sandworms turn up, your ass is X.
Grass, yeah.
His sister Aaliyah was made a little creepier than she needed to be. I actually thought the girl in the book was quite funny. A 2-year-old with a 2-year-old's voice laughing at innuendos and making all the adults uncomfortable. The Baron was just killed by the poison on the Gom Jabbar. There was none of that silliness of him flying out the window and getting nommed up by a worm. The way Paul kills Fade Rolfer isn't that far off, as he does stab him up through the chin into his brain, although they missed out the bit where Fade's hidden blade gets stuck in the floor in a sort of ironic karma punishment sort of thing. Oh! Did Paul just become the Dragonborn?
Yeah,
well,
it does. Sound like
At
it.
the end of the book, Paul states his intention to terraform part of Arrakis and make it nicer to live on. It was going to take time and effort and all the water the Fremen had painstakingly...
Or it just starts raining.
Just summon rain from nowhere. Okay, this is like the worm thing earlier. Someone really should have told Lynch that Paul wasn't actually a god. He had no magical powers whatsoever. All his superhuman abilities were thought-based.
You can't have sex with an iguana. I'm having a wonderful time. It's you beautiful people here. It's just great. Are we gonna look at the things not in the film?
Alright, and left out altogether.
I don't think they mentioned anything about Paul being a mentat as well as being the only male Bene Gesserit in the film. I guess one weird thing was enough for them. Kynes, the Imperial planetologist, helped Paul and Jessica escape and survive in the desert, which is why the Harkonnens ended up killing him. Without this payoff, I don't really see why they bothered having him in it at all, or why they bothered showing him being won over by the Duke Leto. Poor old Kynes actually had a long and drawn-out death scene in the desert where he talks to the memory of his dead father and comes to a revelation about the nature of Arrakis. The movie forgot to mention that the reason the Fremen legend predicting Paul's arrival exists on Arrakis is because centuries ago, the Bene Gesserit intentionally planted it there. Partly because their clairvoyant abilities had allowed them to predict it, and partly because they were intending to make it happen. In the book, the Fremen that Paul easily overpowered in his first encounter with Stilgar's tribe challenges him to a fight to the death to prove he's the man the legend spoke of. Paul kills him fairly easily, but everyone thinks he was sadistically toying with him because all his attacks were delivered really slowly, not realizing that Paul was so used to fighting with a shield on, he found it unnatural to attack with any speed. Paul ends up inheriting everything that used to belong to the dead Fremen, including his wife and children. Not in a slavery way, in a sort of he has to look after them now way. It's a Fremen thing. There's a heartbreaking plot twist at the end of the book that the film skipped over. Paul and Chani have a child while fighting to liberate Arrakis. They name him Leto II after his grandfather. Just after Paul delivers the crippling blow to the Emperor's forces, he learns there was an unsuccessful Sardaukar raid on a Fremen sanctuary, and his infant son had been killed in the crossfire. It kind of put a downer on his whole victory. Incidentally, Paul's sister was captured in that raid, and that's how she ended up in the throne room. She didn't just go there on her own accord. That would have been silly.
True, tie her up, why not? Okay.
The Don's final thoughts. None of the weird, creepy, fucked up shit was in the book. Please, beautiful watchers, I'm begging you, don't judge the novel by David Lynch's psychotic fetishes. This adaptation was so terribly mishandled, I almost wish they'd gone the route of iRobot and fucked off the story altogether. That way, it wouldn't have left me feeling like they'd cut off the book's face and were wearing it Hannibal Lecter style. I
would have said Leatherface, but okay.
They took 3 interesting and complex characters and reduced them down to moronic, thuggish, 2-dimensional monstrosities devoid of any subtlety or redeeming features whatsoever, who spend all their time being amused by each other's disgusting habits.
Why?
I'll leave you with this, beautiful watchers. The man who did this to Dune was asked by George Lucas to direct Return of the Jedi. That could have been a thing.
Damn Leia's hot. I'm sure glad she's not related to me.
I've needed to scratch my nose for 17 fucking years.
Hope not.
I used to be able to do backflips and shit.
Honestly, with
Sweet
that
nightmares, beautiful watchers. If you'll excuse me, I'm off to stick spice up my nose to see if it gives me superpowers.
Good luck.
Oh, this was a...
Dom Smith, huh? Honestly, not bad, I gotta admit. I'm surprised they didn't go, added more, I don't know, I guess illustrations, but I guess, I don't know. Honestly, it would have been cool if he added, some details from the book, but I guess I'll I'm actually curious about more, but I gotta say, Patrick, I think you have found me a new watch, but I guess we'll see how this video does. If you guys want more of this, let me know in the comments. Or hell, even like this video and subscribe. If it does well, I'll do more. Until next time, like, subscribe for more. Adios.